At like the age of 18, I was just on the track. Go to a good college, get a decent degree, do good. You're going to get an entry-level job down on Wall Street. You're going to work real hard. You're going to be a broker. You're going to make tons of money. You're going to be retired by a very young age. You're going to have a house on the beach in New Jersey and a couple Mercedes and a trophy wife, and that'll be the end of the game. I'm done. Multi-millionaire. That's it. I was playing professionally for the New Jersey Imperials. I was playing the best soccer of my life. I get offered this coaching job by one of my teammates to go coach at St. John's University, the NCAA Division I national champions. They're the best team in the country. I was having a blast. I was loving coaching. I was loving playing. I'm living in New York. I'm also studying stuff that I really enjoy. I'm digging into like studying theology for the first time in my life in a formal way. I get online, I start doing searches about Nike and sweatshops and labor practices. And what I found was if you wanted to pick a company that completely violates everything that Catholic social teaching is about, Nike would be your perfect case study. And at the same time I'm doing this research, St. John's University Athletic Department starts to negotiate a $3.5 million endorsement deal with Nike that would require me as a coach to wear and promote the products. St. John's University got the largest Catholic institution in the country, coupling itself with the largest sportswear company in the world. And I said, how can we, as such a public symbol of Catholicism, do something that runs completely counter to our mission? Like we're saying to the world then, look, you should care about the poor and we should fight against injustice and we should seek out the causes of poverty. Well, unless you're getting like some really good athletic equipment and $3.5 million along with it. I mean, you want to talk about just hypocrisy manifested in the real world. Like this was it.
And you have the story at St. John's.
Jim Keedy has caused a massive pile-on.
He is clearly an idealist.
I didn't go to St. John's University to work for Nike. I went there to coach and to study theology.
Keedy, a devout Catholic, protested.
How does he reach the point where he thinks it's immoral to wear the swoosh?
Because he's coming at it from a background of faith and religion. This isn't about just money or power or job or anything. Think about this. How many of us on a job that we really want are prepared to get a memo from the boss saying, stop doing this or you're out, and you keep doing it? I was given an ultimatum by my head coach: wear Nike and drop this issue or resign. End of story. So in June of 1998, I was constructively fired. People were telling me, you don't know what you're talking about. You know, those are great jobs and you can live like a king or a queen on those wages and those people are really happy to have those jobs. I want to go find out. Doesn't everybody just want to know the truth? So I wanted to know the truth firsthand. I wanted to see it, I wanted to smell it, I wanted to hold it in my hand. I knew I was going to need other people. Leslie was a natural match.
Jim and I went to college together. We came together ultimately because we share an interest in labor rights issues. I eventually met back up with her a few years after school through an email about sweatshops. I really wanted to be working with these issues. And I wrote to my buddy and said, you know, who's this woman that's writing to you about this stuff? And he said, oh, she's nuts like you know, you should email her. And she was actually en route to go work with Mother Teresa's sisters in India. And I sent her off this email, hey, I got this great idea, let's go starve on Nike's wages in Indonesia. And so he's like, I really need to go. And she wrote me back, sounds great. Let's go. We plopped down in Tangerang, Indonesia, this industrial suburb outside of the capital of Jakarta, with the plans that for the next month, we were going to live as Nike's factory workers lived, which meant that we were going to go live in a workers' slum outside of the capital. And we were going to live on the workers' wages, $1.25 a day for the next month, to try and come maybe to a better understanding of what it's like for Nike factory workers to make this kind of money and live under these conditions.
We lived in a 9x9 cement box. It was over 100 degrees, it's 100% humidity, a small window, certainly no air conditioning.
No furniture. You slept on a very thin mat on an uneven cement floor covered in shelf paper.
The streets outside of your home are lined by open sewers, and what that means, like in the rainy season, you would have all that feces just float up into the streets and into your house.
And every time that you go to the bathroom, it comes back out into the sewer for everybody else to see and smell.
You would have football-sized rats that would stampede over the ceiling at night and come up through the toilet and look for stuff to eat in the house, or the fist-sized cockroaches that would crawl over you at night.
Siapa nama Anda?
Saya.
Daya. Nama Jim.
Nama Jim ya.
Yeah.
Just like anyone around the world, you can't just drop into someone's life and be like, hi, we're here, we want to live in your life, and tell us how much it sucks. You had to build bonds of trust.
Jim? Siri? Yenny? Nice to meet you. Hello.
They treated us very politely, and it wasn't until they saw that we were committed in the capacity of living on the wages that they're forced to live on, in the conditions that they are living in, that they felt that they could start to begin to trust us. You get to know them, and you hold their children, and you eat with them, and you share stories with them. They become part of your family.
We would go to different workers' homes. You got like 4 women sleeping in like an 8x8 cement box, like, and all their possessions are in there, like everything, in this small area.
The workers would have to share a bathroom with 5 to 10 other families. The workers would have to share living quarters, actually like a row of shacks with corrugated tin roofs. All of those families would share a laundry corner and a kitchen facility, and they would all share the same well to take the water out of.
$1.25 a day after you've paid for your rent, water, electricity, any major transportation costs, you're going to be left on average with roughly 7,000 rupiah per day. What the hell does that mean? That's going to buy you 2 simple meals of rice and vegetables, a bag of peanuts, a bottle of iced tea, and some dish detergent. And that's all you can get. And that's your reward?
Without a doubt. We found it out in the first week that we were there. There's no way that you can live on $1.25 a day and maintain your human dignity. It's just not possible.
I lost 25 pounds living on Nike's wages in Indonesia. I spent the month painfully hungry and tired and like near the point of exhaustion most days.
I just felt my energy storage was just depleted, and I just started going downhill fast, and I just started getting sick every day.
And she got very sick one day. She had like a fever of like 104, and she's got to deal with, well, I have a fever of 104, I can buy aspirin and like a little drink box to get some vitamin C, but if I buy those 2 things, I don't eat for the rest of the day.
I don't know what this is gonna do. Because we're gonna go home, we're gonna say, like, this is not enough money, and no one's gonna do a damn thing different.
How do you feel like a human being? How do you feel like your work, your gifts? You know, for them and the workers that I've talked to the last couple of days, a number of them said like the only thing we have is our physical labor. Because I just bought this smallest thing of shaving cream and 1 razor that I might be able to use 2 or 3 times that I have to cut out 3 meals this week. I don't know how these people do it.
They will be working overtime hours just to get by, because they can't possibly get by on the wage that they're paid without working incredible amounts of overtime. And when you're working up to 15 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week, you know, your 2-year-old child just doesn't see you. You know, they don't get to see their children.
The kids can't even go to school. How are you going to break a cycle of poverty and have real economic development if you have a whole lost generation of children that aren't even educated? I'm walking down this dirt path into this village, and I see this massive pile of scrap shoe rubber that I later learned came from one of Nike's factories, and piles like that get dumped there all the time, and the end result of these piles is that they get burned in that village in the big open space where kids play, and the burning fumes, I learned from the company that designs Nike shoe rubber, will give off toxins and carcinogens. Kids are paying the price. And they're the ones with the chest infections, and they're the ones that are going to develop cancer. When we were in Indonesia, we made attempts to get into a Nike factory, because Nike claims on their website we have nothing to hide.
I'm Mike.
Hi, Mike.
How you doing?
Good.
We went over to Nike's corporate offices, and Nike denied us that.
We're unable to accommodate that request.
So long.
See ya.
Nike headquarters in Beaverton, Oregon had faxed an info sheet out to all the factories to be placed on the wall for all workers to see that read, if you are approached by Jim Keaty, Leslie Kretzer, or Mike Pirantozzi,
do not speak to them. They're only to speak to management. There will be severe consequences if you're found talking to them.
And they know from their management how they're supposed to act. And if they don't, there's some severe ramifications, anywhere from significant harassment to death. And I mean it in a very literal sense. You know, certainly management of the factory didn't want us to be there, and it was kind of frightening because we several times tried to get into the factory.
We weren't out of the van for more than 3 minutes, and there was security like surrounding us, and then the factory managers came out.
What's going on?
We're outside a Nike shoe factory right now. Security's kind of surrounded us.
They're like, you know, what are you doing here? Well, you know, why are you here? It was frightening, you know, because who knows?
Security guy here tracking us down.
From that moment, we were tailed by factory security, the Preyman, or the local mafia. The local mafia certainly works in conjunction with these factory bosses. The factory bosses are, some of them are just brutal, ruthless, hired muscle to keep workers in line. And we met with one worker, Giulianto. He told us, because he was union organized and he was trying to form an independent union.
He was threatened at gunpoint. He had his house ransacked. He was given death threats, and he had to flee back to his home village because, you know, in fear of his life. This is literally a life and death issue, and this happens at all the factories.
You know, every worker that we talked to, there's this struggled with this fear, this culture of fear that just permeates the air. That, yeah, they want to tell you the truth and try and fight for their rights, but they also want their kids to have a father or a mother. They're dealing every day with the threat of losing their lives for doing this kind of work. I mean, they show tremendous courage in light of that. We were able to meet with a woman by the name of Dita Sari, who had been organizing Nike and Reebok factory workers at the age of 23 and was illegally jailed and put in prison and tortured.
In 8th of July 1996, I was arrested by the army, the local army in East Java. They kicked me and they used their fists and their sticks and their booth to hurt me and to torture me in front of the workers to show them an example.
I think that the majority of workers are saying, look, we don't want you to pull out the jobs. Like, we want to work. We like to work, you know. We want to make the shoes. We were proud of what we do, but we don't want to be exploited. Like, why can't you just let us meet our basic needs?
We're talking about food, clothing, housing, healthcare, education, being able to take care of your kids, and some modest savings. That's not a tall order.
Excuse me, do you guys know where the Nike campus is?
Yeah, you hang a right on Walker.
Yeah.
And you'll see it on your southwest corner.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so we're on Nike's campus right now. It's a little bit different than the factories in Indonesia, just a tiny bit.
Hi.
How you doing?
How are you?
Hi, good
Nice to meet you finally.
Yeah.
Listen, I was hoping we could set up some time when we could talk. I'm really concerned about the workforce in Indonesia. You know, I spent the summer there living with them and living on the wages that are paid to the factory workers.
You worried about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you call my secretary? Let's do that.
I did. I called Lisa last week. I called Beta. I called Dusty. I called Brad Feigl. I called Amanda.
You're going to have to talk to somebody else. Maybe we're going to talk to Dusty Kid.
But, I mean, you're the guy, the buck stops with you, right?
Yeah, it doesn't start with me, though.
I know, but I mean, I don't know who else to talk to. I
Talk
tried.
to Dusty Kid.
He doesn't want to talk to me.
Well, and I guess you're going to get through that.
But you're the man. I mean,
Thank you.
you're the man that needs to.
I appreciate your concern, but I'm having lunch with a friend, and
No,
we'll talk about it.
I
You don't-
apologize for interrupting
Sorry
you
about that.
much. I mean, I've come all the way from New Jersey to talk to you about this.
Well, I'm not talking to you.
I've gotten stonewalled at every turn. You know, the workers had asked of me that I try to bring you back to Indonesia to meet them in their homes, not in, you know, the office in Jakarta.
Do you understand? No. You just got to know. I'm not going to talk to you about it.
Phil Knight, the CEO of Nike, or Michael Jordan, or Tiger Woods, or Mia Hamm, or any of the other people that are really making a lot of money because of the way that Nike does things, should care about these workers because they're human beings.
When I see people like Tiger Woods get $100 million just for wearing the clothes, we're saying as a society, like, this one individual, because they play golf well, is worth more than 700,000 people.
Here's what he makes.
We'd made up these wage charts and have them look down at it and then look up and say, Tiger Woods makes enough in a second to buy me a house. Why? I work hard for the company too. And, you know, what do you say to him? Well, hey, that's the system. Deal with it, you know, suck it up. It's capitalism, survival of the fittest. Guess you're not the fittest. Nike is in Indonesia for one reason: cheap labor.
It's an ideology of maximizing profit at all costs to humanity and nature. And it's this entire, like, a vicious cycle that starts with the heads of the corporations that want to make a great return on shareholders' investment.
Some people say, well, hey, that's the way things are. That's the American way. It's capitalism. That's the American way. No, the American way is democracy. That's what our country was founded on. A belief that all people are equal, that there should be a respect for democracy, for human rights, and for the protection of human life. That's what we're about as Americans. We've spent the last year and a half traveling around the country, visiting over 100 schools, high schools and universities, 15,000 students.
So how are you feeling about the turnout?
I'm feeling pretty good about the turnout.
What are you thinking about the turnout here?
It's great. This is the best possible turnout.
And we try as best we can to introduce them to these human beings and say, as students, as high school athletes, as college athletes, as consumers, you've got tremendous power. And because we can't fly them over to Indonesia, we bring Indonesia to them. And if we can give them that spark, even if it's one or two on that day, that's going to multiply. And eventually we'll reach this critical mass and we'll have a great harvest. And the harvest will be truth and justice and fairness for all people. Something's wrong here and we can fix it. It's a necessity.
The tipping point is now.
At this point in our history, we need a story like this to be told.